The Winter War, 1939 to 1940. On November 30th, 1939, the Soviet Union launched a massive invasion of Finland. The Soviet leadership expected a quick and decisive victory. After all, the Red Army outnumbered Finnish forces nearly 3-1, with vastly superior tanks, aircraft and artillery. But they had underestimated Finland. The Finnish army, though small and under-equipped, knew its terrain intimately. Dense forests, frozen lakes, and sub-zero temperatures became natural allies. Finnish soldiers dressed in white camouflage moved swiftly on skis, striking Soviet units and vanishing into the wilderness. One of the most effective tactics employed was the Motti strategy, isolating Soviet columns along narrow forest roads, cutting them into smaller pockets and destroying them piece by piece. Soviet troops, often unprepared for the extreme cold, suffered heavy losses not only from combat, but from frostbite and logistical failures. Amid this chaos emerged a legendary figure, Simo Häyhä, a Finnish sniper who would become known as the White Death. Using iron sights instead of a scope to avoid glare, Häyhä blended perfectly into the snowy landscape. In just over 100 days, he is credited with over 500 confirmed kills, making him one of the deadliest snipers in history. Despite Finland's remarkable resistance, the sheer weight of Soviet numbers eventually took its toll. By March 1940, Finland was forced to sign the Moscow Peace Treaty, ceding significant territory, including parts of Karelia. Though Finland retained its independence, the cost was immense. Between wars, a fragile peace. The peace that followed was uneasy. Finland had lost land, homes, and thousands of lives, but its spirit remained unbroken. Meanwhile, tensions in Europe escalated further as World War II intensified. Finland sought security in a dangerous world. With the Soviet threat still looming, the Finnish leadership found itself increasingly aligned with Nazi Germany, which was preparing for its own invasion of the Soviet Union. The Continuation War, 1941 to 1944. On June 22, 1941, Germany launched Operation Barbarossa, the invasion of the Soviet Union. Just days later, Finland entered the conflict once again, in what became known as the Continuation War. This time, Finland's objective was not only defense, but also the recovery of lost territories. Finnish forces quickly advanced, reclaiming areas lost in the Winter War and pushing deeper into Soviet territory. The front stabilized along a line that stretched across forests and lakes, where brutal conditions once again defined the conflict. Although Finland fought alongside Germany, it maintained its own command structure and strategic goals. Unlike other Axis powers, Finland did not fully commit to Germany's broader war aims, focusing instead on its own survival and territorial interests. The war dragged on for years, marked by trench warfare, artillery duels, and constant tension. As the tide of World War II began to turn against Germany, Finland found itself in an increasingly precarious position. The Soviet offensive and Finland's last stand. In the summer of 1944, the Soviet Union launched a massive offensive to break Finnish resistance once and for all. With overwhelming force, Soviet troops pushed deep into Finnish lines. But once again, Finland refused to collapse. In battles such as Tali-Ihantala, the largest battle ever fought in the Nordic region, Finnish forces, using coordinated artillery fire and defensive tactics, managed to halt the Soviet advance. It was a desperate and costly effort, but it succeeded in preserving Finland's independence. The end of the war and its aftermath. By September 1944, Finland sought peace with the Soviet Union. The terms were harsh: further territorial losses, heavy reparations, and the obligation to expel German forces from Finnish territory, leading to the Lapland War. Despite these losses, Finland achieved something extraordinary. Unlike many nations caught between great powers during World War II, it maintained its sovereignty. Legacy of the Frozen Wars. The Winter War and the Continuation War left a deep mark on Finnish identity. These conflicts became symbols of determination against overwhelming odds, proof that strategy, resilience, and unity can defy even the most powerful adversaries. The legend of the White Death lives on as a reminder of the human element within war, how one individual, shaped by harsh conditions and unwavering focus, could influence the course of battle. In the end, Finland's story during World War II is not just one of war, but of survival. In the frozen silence of the North, a nation stood firm and endured.